So doing it at one stage is tricky, and some surgeons routinely say do an uplift first, then do an augmentation afterwards, and do it in 2 stages, because that converts one devilishly tricky operation into 2 quite straightforward operations. So that's a way of doing it. It tends not to be my practice. I would pull that one out of the bag though, converting to a 2-stage augmentation and mastopexy first and augmentation, for particularly tricky cases. And particularly tricky cases could be something like a secondary breast procedure, someone who's already had surgery and they have here's the situation in which it arises. If they've had surgery, and I've got to say it's often corrective surgery that's been done overseas or in a less than reputable unit or whatever, but the implant has completely lost, it's bottomed out, so there is no support for the breast crease. That's gone, that's been destroyed, and there's often an oversized breast implant in there too, and you need to put things back together, and the oversized breast implant has stretched the skin, and it's all a disaster. And what I would like to be able to offer is to reduce the implant size and do an uplift and do it all in one go, and it'd be lovely. But to restore the skin that the implant, you can imagine, has sort of worked its way downwards and has opened up a space between the skin and the tissues. And you need to be able to stitch that down. But if I then put an implant back on top of it, then my poor stitches have got an implant pushing against it, wanting to force them open again. And if it opens at all, a lick, and fluid gets in there, which it will do because that's down, so fluid will go that way, then it won't heal. And then you've got this space that's only being held by stitches with an implant constantly on it. It will open up again, it will recur, and you'll say, Baiarda, you're useless. So in that specific context, that's a really good time just to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to remove your implant. Gone. We are going to stitch everything down. Lovely. We're going to do your uplift, and we are going to let everything heal. There is no force down on that space. It can stick down, it can heal. Everything heals nicely. Then you can go back victorious 3 to 6 months later and say, right, now I'm going to do a breast augmentation. Nothing more complicated than that. A nice straightforward breast augmentation. I'm not going, when I dissect, I'm not going downwards. I'm not opening up that space. Now that it's healed nicely, up only. Up is our lovely world. And you can get this lovely result, and it's a nice, predictable way. And when I meet patients like that, I'm afraid I do meet them not infrequently, they've been through a lot. They've had a bad experience somewhere else. They may have had several surgeries, several attempts, not only that first one, but then various attempts, and often 2, 3 or 4 attempts to put it right. And in those situations, I don't want to be the next person in line who does something that doesn't work. So in those, I will say to them up front and from the outset, we are going to do 2-stage surgery in your case, but it will work. And that's a nice, rather than saying, we'll do this and it should be okay. No, that's not the way to go. So anyway, yeah, can I get a breast, if I get a breast lift, can I get a breast augmentation later in life? Absolutely. As little as 3 to 6 months later, and years later if you want, and never if you want as well. So there you go.